The Boys Season 3 Episode 7, Ending Explained. Well, what an episode that was. It provided clarity and answered a few outstanding questions that we had around certain soups, the impact of V24, Black Noir's involvement, and, well, let's say family relations. So let's jump into this episode and unpack all that there is to take away from it. Here is The Boys Season 3 Episode 7, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Following on from Herogasm, we had this week's episode which was titled Here Comes a Candle to Light You to Bed. In this episode, we witnessed the boys closing in on Mindstorm, who was a member in Payback at the time the Russians took Soldier Boy. We witnessed the strength of Homelander's paranoia following the battle inside the TNT Twins house with Soldier Boy, Butcher and Hughie. We saw Butcher take a look back at his past, Kimiko regain her powers following the fact that she feels she needs them, Starlight come to the conclusion that she's going to save Hughie despite the fact that he may not necessarily want it, the revelation that A-Train was still alive, and so was Queen Maeve, and also Soldier Boy revealing that he's in fact Homelander's father. Yes, there's a lot to unpack, so as per usual I'm going to break it down by each individual character's arc. Homelander. As we've seen all throughout this season, Homelander is extremely paranoid, and it's probably now at its upper limit. Following the battle at Herogasm, where he clearly lost the battle, he's covering up the bruise on his face to hide it from anybody else knowing about it. We saw him approach Queen Maeve, where he almost tried to guilt trip her into revealing why she did what she did, despite knowing it was because she despised him, but it failed to garner any more information. He revealed how he's not going to kill her, but instead he's just going to keep her alive. Especially revealing that he's going to harvest her eggs so he can raise a biological child that's a part of both of him and her. It's Homelander using mental manipulation as he aims to torture her, due to the fact that I believe deep down he still has feelings for her, and if he can't have her then nobody else can. We witnessed elements of his paranoia growing, where he felt like he saw Soldier Boy in the crowd when it was just a harmless civilian. However, this didn't stop him from charging up his laser vision. This showed just how on edge he actually was, and it was relatively similar to the scene in Season 1, where in his mind he wiped out all of the crowd. Another point in time where he felt he wasn't in control. We saw that Newman noticed that Homelander was clearly going through that, and she felt like she wanted to join an alliance with him that was purely transactional. She had previously proven herself that she was trustworthy, due to the fact that she got rid of Stan Edgar from power, and to leverage her end of the deal, she handed Homelander a piece of paper, which we later saw had an address on. I believe this is likely the location of Ryan, Homelander's son. We've not seen Ryan in the show for a good few episodes, and with us approaching the season finale, I feel this would be the appropriate time to bring Ryan back into the show. The final thing we saw with Homelander was the phone call that he had with Soldier Boy. It was here where it was revealed that he was in fact Soldier Boy's son, and that was one of the reasons that Soldier Boy was taken out all of those years ago, because a more powerful Homelander was on the cards. It was a theory that was flying around, but one that I didn't necessarily expect to be true, so it's an interesting move for the show to make, and one that I'm now intrigued to see if it will change the dynamic of the boys. Soldier Boy. As the episodes go on, we're learning more and more about Soldier Boy, and how his PTSD is causing him to act quite similar to Homelander, and when he does act like that, you can definitely see the resemblance in the two characters. Soldier Boy believes that he kept hearing Hughie and Butcher saying things to him, despite them not, and he was very much looking at things objectively and like a mission. For example, he was prepared to leave Butcher behind once his mind was taken over by Mindstorm, and he had no problem punching Hughie on several occasions during the episode. We saw the anger, rage and vengeance that he has pent up inside of him, following what happened, and we saw this exerted on Mindstorm as he utilized overkill on him completely. Not before Mindstorm informed Soldier Boy that Homelander was actually his son. The rest of the boys don't know about this information, as when Butcher asked what Mindstorm said to him, Soldier Boy simply ignored it. With the boys' part of the mission being to take down Homelander, and Soldier Boy now being his father, this could cause a divide in the party, especially due to the fact that on the phone, Soldier Boy said that things have changed. It already feels like there's a rift between the boys and Soldier Boy, and I wonder if it's going to grow stronger as they're gradually viewing Soldier Boy's behavior get more and more extreme. Butcher and Hughie. I thought Butcher and Hughie's arcs in this episode were one of the more interesting ones. It really focused on the brotherly relationship that they formed over the course of the 3 seasons, and more specifically how much Butcher actually cared for Hughie, despite not necessarily showing it. Butcher spent most of the episode inside of his own mind, looking back at previous events from when he was younger, where we saw why he was the person he is today. Butcher had a traumatic childhood, where his father was abusive, he drank a lot, and he took it out on both himself and his younger brother. We saw that he left his family, and more specifically Lenny, his little brother, due to the fact that he couldn't be around them anymore. We saw his brother take himself because once Butcher left, his father took everything out on him, which he couldn't take anymore. We saw that Butcher had become the very person that his father was to a certain degree, or at least had developed traits, such as the drinking, the anger, and the fighting. He doesn't take it out on people he loves, but that's the reason he has a tough exterior. And as well, like Soulja Boy, when he gets himself into a fight, like what we saw with Gunpowder, he's unstoppable, and the rage is something that simply takes over. We also saw in flashbacks that Butcher feels the need to protect Hughie, and that he in fact does view him as a younger brother, something we've never really seen expressed before, which I thought was a nice revelation. We saw Butcher find out from Starlight the dangers of V24, and that by taking 3 to 5 doses, it can cause death, but he didn't inform Hughie of the danger, showing that despite how much he does care for Hughie, views him as a brother and feels the need to protect him, his own personal gain is something that he can't push past him. Just like walking away from his brother all of those years ago, he's doing the same thing to Hughie and not telling him. This could be foreshadowing the same route for Hughie as it did Butcher's brother, and it also shows that Butcher is prepared to go to the death if it means taking down Homelander. Starlight. Starlight was not in as much deep water as I thought she'd be in, following the reveal to her 100 million followers about the inside of Vought and just how dangerous Homelander was. But as we heard, it's only her fame that's the very thing that's keeping her alive at the moment. We saw her get asked by Kimiko to retrieve some Compound V from Vought, which we saw her do, which was where we witnessed Starlight stumble across the side effects of V24. We got a great moment where Starlight was filming Homelander without realizing, claiming how he was going to get Hughie if she walked away, which she had done. But I feel you really did sense the lack of fear that she held for Homelander. She wasn't afraid of him anymore, and you really did understand that. The final part of Starlight we saw was her saying that she was going to save Hughie, even if he didn't want her to. We've seen this frustration Hughie has held all season due to the fact that Starlight has had to save him throughout their entire relationship, and that he wants to be the very person who saves her. However, he definitely needs saving due to the fact that Butcher isn't going to inform him of the danger that he's in. Mother's Milk. Mother's Milk didn't have as heavy of an involvement in this episode. The main thing that we saw him do was fight for his daughter, and express the fact that he didn't believe that Todd should be taking her to a Homelander rally, where Homelander was spreading lies and extreme views and also putting the very people there in danger due to the fact that Soulja Boy was after him. Todd had clearly been brainwashed by all of the media and the words that Homelander was preaching, due to the fact that he believed the lies about Starlight were definitely true, even though they're clearly not. MM took his rage out on Todd and his daughter witnessed it happen with a frightened look, so I imagine their relationship is going to be sketchy, and he may have caused more damage than good as we embark on the final episode of the season. Kimiko and Frenchie. I found their story to be quite beautifully executed this episode. We saw Frenchie delve deeper into the videos of Soulja Boy being tested on in the lab, and he found out that they need to head back to Russia to get some Novichok, which to an ordinary human it would kill them, but Soulja Boy would allow them to put him into a state of sleep, so we may see them embark on a trip in the finale. We witnessed Frenchie take some V where she got her powers back for good. We saw a moment where she expressed how she wanted her powers back, so that she could protect Frenchie, who she now deemed as her family. She addressed the kiss that they had in episode 5, and alluded to the fact that she loved him, and she felt like she wanted her powers back so that she could look after him and ensure that he's safe. Rather than viewing them as a curse like she had her whole life because she didn't choose to have them, she was now making the conscious decision and owning the choice that she made, which allowed her to have a different outlook on them. I thought it was a rather touching moment, especially considering it meant that she would lose the ability to feel Frenchie in the way that she did without powers. She's choosing the protection over the intimacy and comfort that she can feel, showing her priorities and the love that she has for him. Black Noir. I'm really glad we got these scenes with Black Noir in this episode. We got the most screen time we've ever seen of him before, and it was almost a tone like Butcher's. We got to see his mind being expressed in the form of animated characters, almost like his imaginary friends. He doesn't speak and spends a lot of time in his own mind, so I imagine that's why we saw it like that. He was sitting watching a show that nobody else could view, and it was executed so well. We saw his involvement in the taking of Soulja Boy, and how Black Noir essentially led the group into aligning on those beliefs with the guidance of Stan Edgar. Plus, we saw that Homelander was in discussion at this point as a mere child, in taking over the role. We saw just how much of a bully Soulja Boy was in Payback, especially towards Black Noir, and exactly why they wanted rid of him. We saw that Soulja Boy was the person who burnt half of Noir's face off when they tried to make him surrender, unlike it being caused in the crossfire like it was originally assumed. We saw that Black Noir always knew that Soulja Boy was going to come back, and that he was going to have to face up to Soulja Boy for his actions, which I think we'll see in the next episode, which could mean that this could well be the last we see of Black Noir in the show. We know just how much Homelander values Black Noir, so if Soulja Boy were to attempt to attack Black Noir, Homelander could potentially step in. It will be interesting to see. Additional extras. A few extras that we got in the episode was that the revelation that Queen Maeve was still alive, and the plan looked as though it was to keep her alive. However, with Starlight searching for her, I imagine Queen Maeve will get out in the season finale. We also saw that A-Train was in fact still alive. He got a heart transplant from Blue Hawk, which meant that he'll now be able to utilize his powers again on a full capacity. However, it's bittersweet because the heart of the very person who paralyzed his brother is the very thing that's now keeping him alive, so I'm interested to see how he's going to deal with that. We also had the Deep and his wife seeming to break up following some disagreements in the bedroom. She'd been the one keeping him on track, like his PR team, and with her now gone, I feel we could see him slip up. His story has been relatively redundant this season, so I'm hoping the finale will clear it up. This was a great episode for sure, and one that sets up the finale nicely. I'm looking forward to seeing if Soulja Boy being revealed as Homelanders Father is going to cause a rift between him and the boys, and if there'll now be some double-crossing involved. So, there you have it, The Boys Season 3 Episode 7 Ending Explained. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.